Recording in progress.
Welcome in to the 101st episode of Betting the Pitch. I'm your host, @real_G Warner on Twitter, and wherever you're watching, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, StreamYard, listening on Spotify, or Apple Podcasts, I appreciate the support. This is going to be a long episode today, potentially, because we're going through the last couple weeks of the soccer season, and there's a million games going on, all with a ton to play for. A bunch of teams have already won the leagues, but really the fun part to me is the relegation fights. And there's some good ones going on, some not good ones, but we'll get to those. Without further ado, we'll start with the English Premier League. We have Tottenham hosting Burnley. Currently Tottenham a 1.5 goal favorite off of a destruction of Arsenal in the North London derby. The problem for Tottenham is that it's very unlikely that Burnley will take a red card in the first 10 or 15 minutes, it felt like. And one that was kind of not deserved with a questionable second yellow that I feel like would be a foul, but would be like a talking to. But anyway, Mikel Arteta said enough about that. My only place I can really look is the underdog here, and that's Burnley at 1.5. They are in the relegation fight, and unfortunately on 34 points, tied with Leeds for the last relegation position. No playoffs in England, so they got a lot to worry about. The nice part is they're 21 goals ahead in goal differential, so it's basically an extra half point that they have on Leeds. As for Everton, they're 2 points behind them and 6 points behind Southampton, who seem to be pretty safe. But this is a match that Burnley need. They do have one game in hand compared to Leeds, which is very important. It makes Leeds' position look even more difficult. But they're going to go and try to play as defensive as possible. Tottenham have shown that they're really good counterattacking, nearly won at Anfield because of that. They're not going to have that ability here, and Burnley's going to really make that hard on them. So with most of the juice, all of the juice on Burnley right now, that's the way I lean. We'll see what happens where this number goes. Pretty big number for them to hang around, though Tottenham are definitely a scary team to fade at the moment. And I guess I might as well talk about Tottenham and their chase for the Champions League. They're now 1 point behind Arsenal with a tougher run of fixtures to come, but still certainly have momentum from that derby victory and are 5 points behind Chelsea, so that pretty much makes it. I mean, 2 wins, Chelsea would have to lose out, and then goal differential will come in, they're way behind there. So Chelsea looks pretty safe in third, but not impossible, and certainly who Tottenham are going for is their arch rival, Arsenal. Next, we'll go Aston Villa hosting Crystal Palace in a battle of middle of the park, middle of the road, middle of the table teams. Currently, Aston Villa a quarter goal favorite with all the juice. Crystal Palace might be climbing to half a goal, and that seems interesting, but as I've heard on recent podcasts, Crystal Palace and Patrick Vieira are simply trying to figure out new lineups for next year and what might make them, easy for me to say, a little bit better than last season or this season that's about to wrap up. Not sure there's a ton to play for either, besides pride and spots for next year, though Steven Gerrard's team is certainly still fighting as well. I think I lean to the underdog, but I don't really have a really strong lean in that direction. Maybe as it hits a half of a goal where a draw on the road will win you a bet. It's a little more interesting at a quarter. I think I'll skip. Leeds then host Brighton, currently pick 'em with all the juice on Brighton on the road. All the pressure on Leeds here. Some questions about Brighton right now, though they sit 9th in the table with Leicester 2 points behind them. And I think they're eyeing a top half finish as something that's important to them. It's hard to say how important that is because I'm sure they're making their visa plans for this weekend or maybe I guess not this weekend because the season's not over, but for the summer. Whereas Leeds are in real big trouble. They are down based on a red card in midweek. I mean, they might have, Rafinha almost got his own. Crazy stuff going on there. A lot of pressure that is being felt, and they don't look very good. Crowd will be hugely behind them. I think I'll have some interest in Leeds if it climbs to a quarter, just because I don't believe in Brighton to score the goals that you need to be a road favorite. But until it gets there, nothing for me. Watford hosting Leicester in a match that I'm going to go through and get away from as quickly as possible. Watford a half a goal underdog at home, but they're already relegated, and who knows what they're going for. Leicester, on the other hand, don't have a lot to play for, but pride. Next, we'll go Wolves hosting Norwich. Currently, Wolves a 1.25 goal favorite. All the juice on Norwich on the road. Norwich relegated, lost all 5 of their last 5. They're awful. And Wolves do have trouble scoring goals, so 1.25 seems pretty high for them to lay to anybody, especially based on shipping 5 to Man City, including 4 to one single person, Kevin De Bruyne, in their last matchup. But Norwich don't have any of those players. Wolves averaging 1 goal a game, so it's asking a lot for them to win by more than 1. 36 goals in 36 games is pretty poor, but they sit 8th in the table, and I'm just not backing Norwich. No thanks. West Ham then hosting Man City. Currently, West Ham a 1.5 goal favorite, or excuse me, 1.5 goal underdog at home with all the juice. West Ham fighting to try to stay, maybe to chase down Manchester United for that last Europa League spot. It would be hilarious if they did. They've one extra game to play, so I mean they could tie them up. So there's probably something to play for there. Man City, on the other hand, are trying to hang on to the title. Looked really good midweek, but I'm not sure that you can really expect Kevin De Bruyne to follow up a 4-goal effort with another one, as we've seen how hard that is for Gabriel Jesus to do the exact same thing. But ultimately, Man City are really hard to fade, but I've had pretty good success doing it, surprisingly, over the last couple of years. West Ham are a really good team that are going to, not a really good team in general, but they have nothing else to play for other than the season matters to them. Man City the same boat, but West Ham didn't play midweek. They have the ability to counterattack and to sit back and try to defend like crazy. And the nice part is they should have a more complete back line compared to Wolves, who are, unfortunately, I thought Dendoncker would fit in pretty well defensively, but he did not. And that's why Man City got 5 against a pretty good defense. They certainly could do that here, but I think West Ham will keep this tight, and I like them getting a 1.5 goals on Sunday. Everton then hosting Brentford. Currently Everton a 1/4 goal favorite with all the juice right now, climbing higher. Brentford with nothing to play for, sitting 13th. Their job is done. They're still in the league for next year. Everton are looking better, 2 points from the relegation zone with a team behind them between the relegation zones. So that's a pretty good spot. Plus that extra game in hand, I think they play in the middle of the week. So that's really nice. Brentford, not a lot to play for. The crowd will be huge behind Everton. That's been so supportive even on the road. I think Brentford, if they get to a half, that'll be the minimum, I think, for me to start looking at them. But I'm not really sure what they're playing for, and that concerns me about trying to go on the road and play defense, though backing Everton to score is hard work. So maybe if this hits a half, I'll look closer to Brentford to make sure the most important players in that lineup. Moving to Monday, Newcastle hosting Arsenal. Currently Newcastle a 1/2 goal underdog at home. Arsenal, they're going to have trouble with fielding a competent defense. I mean, I think they might, with 3 subs especially, that's a big risk, but I think they're going to put Gabriel out there, even though he seemed like he got injured against Spurs on Thursday. Pretty quick turnaround to Monday night. Newcastle at home has had a huge crowd effect, impact. Newcastle also hasn't been playing many matches lately, so they're pretty well rested, though there's definitely some questions about how much they care. Though they gave Liverpool and Manchester City pretty good fights in their last 2 matches, which can't blame them for 2 losses there, coming off 3 straight victories beforehand. I like Newcastle. I think they're in a good position. Arsenal looked really upset. Arteta did, especially after the matchup against Tottenham. They are going to be missing Rob Holding due to red card suspension and potentially Gabriel as well, and they already have a very thin back line, so not a great sign. Problem for Newcastle is their offense isn't great, but I think Arsenal are going to have a tough game here, and if the crowd shows up as I expect it will, it's going to be even tougher. Moving next to Tuesday, we got Southampton hosting Liverpool, and I guess I'll do the FA Cup after this one. I'm so used to starting the Premier League, but that was a little bit out of order because they play Saturday. But anyway, it's tough to say a lot about this one until we see Liverpool play Chelsea, but ultimately Southampton are a 1.5 goal underdog at home with all the juice right now. But they've been playing terribly and seem to be fully on the beach. So that is a scary thing to back if you're thinking about fading Liverpool against a team that really has nothing to play for. And I don't think I'll be doing that. So moving to the FA Cup on Saturday, this is Chelsea getting a 1/4 goal from Liverpool, which is way too low. I thought this would be 3/4. I'm way off, apparently. All the juice on Liverpool, so maybe this climbs to a half. Really depends. Liverpool, I think, sees their title race in the EPL as a little bit out of reach. They rested Andy Robertson midweek, and I expect he'll come out there. I mean, there might be other resting players potentials for this one, but I think they're going for this one because this is something they can grasp and win on Saturday, whereas the Premier League, they need a lot of help. So way too short for me on Chelsea, who have a lot of major problems, and I'm not interested in backing them whatsoever. Now moving to Spain for La Liga, which is match day 37, so one more to go after this one. We'll start on Saturday with Espanyol hosting Valencia. Currently Pick'em. Espanyol with all the juice. Didn't have a great midweek, to put it that way, put it lightly. Neither did Valencia either. Not a lot for me to do at Pick'em. I lean to Valencia if they become a 1/4 goal underdog because I just don't really believe in Espanyol despite backing them midweek. The early second half red card for Yangel Herrera was just ridiculous, but whatever. Moving to Sunday, Cadiz hosting Real Madrid. Currently Cadiz a quarter goal underdog at home, which says that to me that Real Madrid are going to be resting a ton of players as they prepare for the Champions League final. Maybe that's the case, but Cadiz are currently 2 points ahead of relegation. They need some points here. Maybe they get them, but they've been really bad at home. The nice part is they get to play Real Madrid's backups, but they're better than Cadiz's starters. And Cadiz played a pretty good match against Real Sociedad, gave a lot midweek, had a goal that was barely offside, disallowed, and then kind of fell apart after that. And unfortunately for them, this is going to be a really tough match, and a quarter is nowhere near enough, though the line certainly suggests that they're going to play Real Madrid really tough. Mallorca then hosting Rayo Vallecano. Mallorca a 3-quarter goal favorite with all the juice. And this tells me that Rayo, who's been so bad on the road, has given up. Though I don't really think that was the case this weekend, midweek, but they were really bad defensively. Got an equalizer to get back to 1-1, but letting a Villarreal team who had been playing backups up top with Paco Alcacer, who hasn't scored since Donald Trump was in office, like ridiculous things. But Mallorca are in real trouble, I got to say. I mean, getting a draw was big at Sevilla, but that was because they sat in their own box for the last 25 minutes and just held on for dear life. They're currently the last relegation spot, 2 points behind Cadiz. They need to go for a win here. Certainly what the line suggests will happen, but if this gets to full goal, I mean, I don't know how I can avoid Rayo, because they're going to play the same way, I think. They're going to sit back, counter, and try to get on you. Didn't work against Villarreal as a home underdog in the midweek, but against Mallorca, if this hits one, I think I'm going to play it and probably hate myself afterwards. Levante then hosting Alaves. Currently Levante a quarter goal underdog at home. They are unfortunately on 29 points at the bottom. Better team than where they sit in the table, but it is what it is at this point. You are what it all says. They need 6 points just to tie Cadiz, so they're pretty much relegated at this point. Cadiz, I think, played Alaves last week. Alaves still have something to play for, but I don't believe that they're good enough. I mean, they got to win midweek, but they played against 10 men for 45 minutes, so that was nice. Levante, unfortunately, defense was really poor against Real Madrid. Only really watched the first half and turned it off because it was a blowout at that point, but I think 4-0 at halftime. But I believe in Levante. I don't think they're going to give up. I think they know that they need to win this match and they're going to go on the front foot, but Alaves are in the same exact boat. They're on 31 points, 4 points behind safety, so they got a little bit more of a shot, but doesn't really seem like one to me. And them as Alaves as a road favorite is absolutely hilarious. So I'm going to play Levante unless that lineup is just playing nobody important, which it could be. And it could be a youth setup because they're preparing for La Segunda División. Celta Vigo then hosting Elche. Currently Celta a 3-quarter goal favorite with all the juice, or almost all of it. Elche really disappointing last couple of matches. I don't know. I need to stop betting this team because they drive me insane. The losses are brutal, and then other times they just get blown out. So what's the point? But Celta, not a lot to play for, but they're going to play well. They're going to possess the ball. They're going to be able to score. Elche aren't, and Elche's big center backs are just, maybe they're good in the air. I'm not even sure they're good at that. They're just good at nothing. Athletic Club then hosting Osasuna. Currently Athletic Club a 1-goal favorite at home. In terms of what they're playing for, they are 4 points behind Villarreal with 2 matches to go, 7 points behind Real Sociedad in 6th place. Maybe they're fighting for 7th to catch Villarreal, but they have not been playing well their last 2 matches. Really might have even sealed Marcelino's fate. He might not be there by the time this match kicks off. Osasuna one spot behind them, but 5 points behind them. Not a lot to play for either, but whenever I see Athletic Club, I guess they think they have something to play for. But this is a little bit of a Basque derby, not obviously the premier, but important nonetheless. So I'm interested in Osasuna getting that full goal because Athletic Club's offense has been unable to hit the target. Osasuna has been playing pretty hard. Ante Budimir has been scoring more goals than Athletic Club have, and getting that full goal of insurance is massive because San Mamés really just hasn't been the fortress this year whatsoever. Villarreal then hosting Real Sociedad. Currently Villarreal a 0.5-goal favorite. All the juice on the road. Real Sociedad. Sociedad 3 points ahead. A draw is good enough probably for them to stay ahead because they'll be 3 points up on Villarreal. I'm not sure what the head-to-head would be because that's important in Spain, but ultimately, just in terms of this matchup, Real Sociedad they don't score goals. That's a big problem for them. Villarreal, I think, do, and that makes me a little bit more scared to back Real Sociedad. Getting half of the goals a lot. This looks like it's going to trend down to a quarter, and I think that won't be enough just because Real Sociedad's offense is dried up completely, mainly at home, but it especially has just all together with a lot of injuries that they haven't been able to sustain, though David Silva was awesome against Cadiz because they decided not to cover him. I can't imagine that Unai Emery will play the same way. In terms of Villarreal, I mean, they need to win that match. They'll be on the front foot, and I'll give Real Sociedad chances to attack them. And I guess they're only 5 points behind Real Betis for Europa League spots, possible, unlikely. And I guess Villarreal, well, it all comes down to the tiebreaker head-to-head. So I'll move on to the next one. And that is Real Betis hosting Granada. Currently Betis a 1-goal favorite, minus 122. So all the juice on the home team. Maybe climbing to 1.25. Granada has done awesome. 2 big wins to climb out of the relegation zone and now 4 points ahead of the last relegation spot. I mean, awesome. Great job for them. Even if Mallorca win, get to 36, they're in still really good shape to stay in the league, which looked like it was not going to happen very recently. Real Betis, on the other hand, they think that they can catch up to Sevilla. They're only 5 points behind with 2 matches to go. I mean, a long way to go, but I guess it's possible. We'll see what happens there, but I'm not really a believer. I like Granada. I don't think Betis' offense is good enough to cover and win by more than a goal. I think it's been pretty quiet ever since they played a ton of matches way back when. So we'll see what happens, but ultimately that's where I sit for now. Next we'll go Getafe Barcelona. Currently Getafe a quarter-goal underdog at home with most of the juice on Barcelona on the road. It's a really short price. Barcelona might play their backups, but they're still way better than Getafe. And Getafe, they're on 38 points. They could still be caught. They're not totally safe, but are pretty safe. Way too short to back Getafe when they can't score. Atleti then hosting Sevilla in a big matchup. Atleti have clinched their Champions League position, which is great for them and means they don't have to really care about this one. And Sevilla, they haven't clinched it yet. They haven't been playing well at all and kind of look like they've been on the beach, maybe because Julian Lopetegui's on the way out. I'm not sure. But getting a quarter of Sevilla was something to play for, and I'm just not a believer in Atleti that they can score goals. It seems so lucky whenever they do. Penalties, ridiculous calls, avoiding red cards, all those sort of things don't really seem to happen against the big clubs, and Sevilla are one of those. Now moving to, we'll go to Serie A. So Empoli hosting Salernitana. Currently Empoli a quarter-goal underdog at home. Salernitana has been awesome. Credit them for the run they've been on. Currently they are 1 point outside the relegation zone. Cagliari are the team that are chasing them, but Genoa are coming up with that big win against Juve with a late penalty. This is going to be nuts at the end. Salernitana got a lot of pressure, and especially as a quarter-goal favorite on the road is questionable. Empoli's defense has been a big problem. Salernitana are scoring, but a home dog seems a little bit weird to me for Salernitana, who played so many matches recently. Finally didn't get a win, but have gotten 11 points from their last 5 matches. That's pretty huge for a team that was bottom dead and everyone was saying was out of the league on US CBS TV or whatever, who have the rights to Italy. Lean Empoli is the home dog, but not sure what they're playing for. Really looks like nothing at this point. Udinese then hosting Spezia. Currently Udinese a half-goal favorite. Spezia drifting down towards the bottom. They're only 3 points ahead of Salernitana, 4 points ahead of safety, or 4 points safe. So a good result here, and they're in great shape. But Udinese have been playing really well, and I don't like Spezia because they love giving up late goals to really kill me. Verona then hosting Torino. Currently Verona a quarter-goal favorite. They had a rough loss at the end to Milan on Sunday. Torino, on the other hand, have been playing better, but also took a loss in their last match. I like Torino on the road, getting a quarter. Both of these teams are going to be on the front foot, both trying to score goals. And I think Torino, I mean, it is very juiced right now, so maybe this falls to pick them, and I'll skip it. But I do like Torino as the underdog, because I feel like Verona their defense has been so poor. Roma then hosting Venezia. Currently Roma 1 3/4 goal favorite. Venezia look like they're down. I think they are, I guess they're not officially relegated. They could still catch Salernitana if they win both, but it doesn't look likely. Roma, on the other hand, are 3 points behind Lazio and need this win big time, especially after losing their last match to Fiorentina. They're tied. There's a lot of pressure on them. They do have the Conference League to focus on, but still a big deal. And I don't know. I feel like Venezia, it was a good run for them. They covered a lot of spreads for me earlier this year, but it's not been happening lately, and they just lose every match, it feels like. They did win their last one, amazingly, but I don't know that will happen again anytime soon until they're into Serie B. Bologna then hosting Sassuolo on Sunday. Currently Pick'em, not much for me to discuss. Hard to know what Sassuolo is going to do because they look bad lately. But Bologna is a home favorite, likely not a lot for me to want either. Nice to see Mihailovic on the bench, though, fighting cancer. Napoli hosting Genoa. Currently Napoli a half-a-goal favorite with all the juice, or almost all. Genoa fighting out of the position. They need to win here because only 1 point will get them tied with 18th place, and that's still automatic relegation. They need to win. They're going to try to be aggressive and be offensive. They don't really have that though. And Napoli they're a team that they haven't played well at home. I'll say that, but they have been really good at feasting on bad opposition and blowing teams out. So that number seems way too short to me. AC Milan hosting Atalanta. Milan currently leading the table, top of the table. I don't know how they're scoring so many goals to win matches, but they seem really fortunate. Atalanta finally got a victory after 2 draws. I mean, I guess they were unbeaten in 4, but have been grossly underachieving. They are tied, though, for that 6th place position and still fighting for some sort of European football next year. I think as a 3/4 goal underdog, I'm really interested in Atalanta. I hate to say it because I've been betting against them blindly almost the last few weeks, and it's worked until this last matchup where they scored 2 goals late against Spezia. That shouldn't make me all of a sudden like Atalanta, but I think AC Milan's been struggling so much, and they have to win by more than a goal here to take my full unit, so I'm interested in Atalanta. Cagliari then hosting Inter. Currently, Cagliari a goal and a half underdog at home with all the juice. Inter fighting to win matches, had to play 120 minutes in the Coppa Italia, but that was a big win for them. And ultimately, they have a ton of talent that Cagliari do not. And Cagliari are currently sitting in the bottom 3 with a ton of pressure that need to go score goals and win. I think they're going to have to play defensively and eventually creep out if the match is tied, or if they somehow take a lead, just sit back and put everyone in the box, try to keep Inter out. I just think Inter is too experienced with dealing with that, and I don't really want to fade Inter, I gotta say. It's been brutal doing that. Sampdoria then hosting Fiorentina on Monday. Sampdoria, a half a goal underdog at home. All the juice on Fiorentina, who are fighting for Europe right now and are within striking distance. Sampdoria are the opposite and are a disaster, and I don't want to back them. Juve then hosting Lazio, coming off 120 minutes in the Coppa Italia that went so poorly because they had a 2-1 lead, gave it up on a penalty, and then had an awful extra time. I like Lazio. They score goals. Juve don't. And I worry about Juve because not forever, but they seem really banged up and don't have a lot. Lazio's defense has not been good, but I feel like they can handle Vlahovic because he doesn't have much support. And so currently getting a quarter of a goal is sizable to me, but with all the juice on Lazio, it might fall to pick'em, which says exactly what it should. Juve a pick'em to Lazio would be hilarious, and when you think about the strength of these two teams, but I like Lazio right now. Moving next to the Bundesliga and the last week of the season. So this is big time. And if I could ever find the standings. So Arminia Bielefeld and Leipzig, big matchup for Leipzig to try to climb up. I mean, they're in a Champions League position, but they need to win this matchup. Currently, Bielefeld, a goal and 3/4 underdog at home. They are 3 points behind Stuttgart for the relegation playoff, and they're 7 goals worse on goal differential. So that's a big, big problem for Bielefeld. They're going to need to win this match, and by a lot. They're going to go forward. The nice part is they could lose this match or by 1 or draw and still cover the spread. So this is very confusing. I mean, maybe this hits 2 because all the juice is on Leipzig right now. Very possible it could. But I think Bielefeld's the way I lean, but I don't really want to deal with it because they've been so banged up and they have really no talent to speak of when they deal with injuries. And that's a big problem. Whereas Leipzig finally are well rested because they had a midweek off after it had been so long they hadn't. And they're probably going to run riot through Arminia Bielefeld on the road to cement a Champions League spot. Augsburg then hosting Greuther Fürth. Currently, Augsburg a 1-goal favorite at home. Huge number, 4th the worst team in the Bundesliga that I've seen. But Augsburg, I mean, they're 14th. They're safe, but I mean, they're bad. So where do they get more than 1 goal? I don't know. I'm very interested in 4th. I really hope I don't play it, but I am interested. Bayer Leverkusen then hosting Freiburg. Currently, Leverkusen a pick'em with all the juice right now. Big match because Leverkusen are ahead of Freiburg, have clinched. Freiburg with a really tough loss to Köln, but ultimately I think any European position would be good enough for Freiburg. And this line suggests that Leverkusen aren't playing their best. They've been banged up for a while, but maybe aren't risking Patrick Schick in this matchup, or more importantly, Moussa Diaby on the side, on the wing. I'm not sure that I believe in Leverkusen as much, but Freiburg at pick'em, not much for me to do. Maybe it climbs to a quarter, and we'll see what lineups look like. Borussia Dortmund then hosting Hertha Berlin. Currently Dortmund a 1.25 goal favorite with most of the juice on Hertha. Hertha somehow surviving, 3 points ahead, I guess, of the last relegation position, and way behind in goal differentials. So if they lose and Stuttgart win, I mean, that's a big problem for them. So they got to focus on this one, definitely. Dortmund, on the other hand, who knows what's going on with Haaland. Wonder if he even plays the last match.